name is Reverend Leon Kelly. I'm the director of the Open Door Youth Gang Alternative Program. We're the oldest anti-gang program in the state of Colorado, 30 years. I'm a PK, a preacher's kid. I grew up in this environment of being a son of a preacher. Everybody in our block knew me as being a Reverend Kelly's son. So there was a certain standard that we had to uphold. But knowing that we couldn't do a lot of things that a lot of other kids were doing, we often wondered as to how would it be if I did this, if I did that. The drugs, the drinking, the women. The girls that was around me, we had our hustle. They would go and dance and do what they do. I would give them their product, and my product was one of top grade. I could remember in my penthouse looking over the city of Denver. It'd be 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had to think as I looked over Denver and I said, man, it had to be something more to life than this. You do wrong, you commit the crimes, you feel like you could get away. As my mom would always say, you may do wrong, get by, but you won't get away. The police ended up catching me, and now here I am with a number on my chest going to prison. And then I remember when my mom and dad came up to visit me, I never, out of all my years, ever seen my mom cry. And that was the time I saw a tear roll up in her eyes when she saw me. And a tear came down. Oh man, that broke me. That broke me. Went back to my cell, and that night, that's when I said, okay, this is it, I'm done. I really got into my religion. I got into the Bible studies. I got into the things that was going to enhance me and help me in the elements of growth. It became my mission to help build lives that have been broken. As time went on, I saw that there were new phenomenon coming in the form of gang identity, as it has migrated from places like LA, Chicago, Detroit, Washington to Denver. It has migrated from the inner city of Denver to all the outward parts of the city. This is not just an inner city problem anymore. It's just not a black problem, it's not a white problem, not a brown problem, it's a people's problem. When we were introduced to the gang elements coming to the city, I saw that they were somewhat being outcast, and nobody wanted to deal with them. The city was closing their doors, but I chose to keep my doors open. And I often tell a lot of people I deal with, I see the good in you. The challenge that I have is trying to get you to see the good in you. In the work that I've been able to do over these number of decades, dealing with guys and girls who made bad choices. Good kids, but yet made bad choices. Our kids here in Colorado were seeing images on TV, and they feel like this is something that seemed to be cool, and they wanted to be a part of it. And many kids found themselves adapting to that lifestyle, because they felt that it was glamorous. This was something that was not just gonna go away. It wasn't just a trend. So as time went on, my relationship had become entwined with the streets, with the schools, with the community that faced, with the police, with the politicians, of how do we all address this problem that is becoming a plague to our city. Well, this is my office, which is in downtown Denver. And we've been here since pretty much 1985. People often asked, why have an office in downtown Denver? It wasn't owned by one group or the other. It was accessible. It was looked at as common ground. The meetings that we've had in this room from opposing groups who were trying to kill each other the weekend before, we come in here and we diffuse a lot of things in this room. This is sort of like the brain center, so to speak, of my world. It reflects a lot of the people I've had the opportunity to meet over the years. And unfortunately, many of these kids, they've been a victim of the gang violence that we've have dealt with over these last 3 decades. As the years went on, I come to realize that the only way to really kill a gang is to cut off recruitment. In order to break this cycle, we have to deal with them at an earlier age. You got all these kids, you got all these families coming in. How we doing? Good, you're doing much better, huh? Good job. Yeah, take that. Who are we? Ambassadors! What do ambassadors do?
Set a good example.
That's what it's all about with planting seeds with ambassadors. So you go and share this with everybody else out there. Right? Good, all right.
Not only is Rev a dynamic individual that brings a lot of energy to wherever he goes, the program is really necessary.
What I observe is that after they spend time in the Open Door program and time with Rev and his team, they start to build the skills to deal with everyday life. I see them becoming citizens and leaders, and rather than fighting or yelling or acting out, now they have the language and they have the skills to say, this is how I feel, and this is how I'm going to handle the situation, which is huge.
Once we started to educate these kids, we started to see a reduction in the gaming process. Here in Denver, I deal with a lot of my guys and girls who are on parole, others who are dealing with challenges. And so we've been able to develop this program that is a one-of-a-kind called Flip the Script. So being able to say, okay, that was set a good example. If I can stand up here and set an example for everybody here, because my number and my time or some of my history is the same as some of you, what makes me different? Causes them to be provoked to say, And then we see a reduction in recidivism.
It's definitely a unique class. There's no class at all like this. And when you're living the lifestyle and you're not used to seeing other things, you don't see outside the box, you know? So seeing that there's something outside the box, I'm like, wow, this is awesome, you know? And thankfully, I haven't been back to DOC. This is the first time in my life I've stayed out for this long.
I believe in this class 100% because it did change me. I graduated a year and a half ago, and I still come faithfully every Thursday because I get something out of it each and every time.
People often ask me, well, why do you deal with these notorious, crazy inner-city terrorists? And I said, it's not that I condone their negative choices, but I do value their lives.
Reverend Kelly, I think, is like our role model because he's pulled out of the lifestyle. He's continued doing good. He's helping so many different people, you know, and he's active in the community in various ways. And it's a joy for me to be able to be a part of that.
I've seen him keep working with so many other people that I felt didn't deserve all those chances. He keeps working with them and working with them. So indirectly, it just shows me, too, that you don't give up. You just don't give up.
He believed in me. When the court system didn't believe in me, my family didn't believe in me, nobody believed in me. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably have been back in prison. But he believed in me and he talked to me and he says, I know you can do it, girl. I love that man with all my heart.
I see the way that our community responds to Rev. I think now I truly realize the impact that he has on our community as a whole.
And one would often say, well, Rev, if you could just save one, you did your job. I was never content with just one. But then I had to think about it. You know, I said, well, maybe if I saved that one, maybe that one would go and save the multitude. The mayor of this city, he was one of my kids, you know, back in the days. And now, years later, here he is, the mayor of a city. And he remembers our conversations back in the days, you know, when he was a kid. He remembers the impact that I and many others have had on him coming from the hood. You know, if people are really looking to try to make a difference in the lives of kids, lives of the communities, lives of the world, and if you want to invest your seeds into the growth of a community, and you're trying to figure out what and how you're going to do it, take it from the old preacher from the hood. Check it out.